everyone. Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back for a detox this evening. So we're gonna be toggling back here. If you didn't see this morning's class, we're gonna be toggling back to our retreat schedule. 2 classes a day, 10 a.m. We'll do a fit or a flow, and then 7:30 p.m. we'll do a detox as we're taking a mindful pause on the classes at the studio right now based on the current situation here in Los Angeles, and I know many other places, but obviously studio being in Los Angeles, we gotta stay mindful as we can locally, to support everybody as best as we can. So we're going to be here with you online, morning and evening. The 2 classes a day mimics what I do when we're on a yoga retreat. We do a practice in the morning, we do a practice in the evening. There's a lot of life that we live and different things that come up throughout the days. So it's nice to bookend your day with a practice. So please, if you're here, obviously you're joining us. If you want to share it with anybody, please send it over. Detox is a great practice for every single body. There's a different approach in that you're sitting and settling in the poses versus strengthening and lengthening in the poses. I guess you're still lengthening, but you're reducing the activation of your body. So it's a pretty good restorative. Doesn't mean that you're not going to feel it. As those of you that have practiced with me here before, you definitely feel, and there's a lot of sensation. But it really helps us through these emotional waves and things that human beings are going through right now, to acknowledge our bodies in sensation, to sit with the sensations so that we can, move through our minds and observe our thoughts and, hopefully feel a little bit calmer and relaxed by the time we get done with the practice. Anna, of course, good evening. Era, good evening. Nice to see you both, or see you virtually. But it's fun. I see you guys when you post and tag us on Instagram. It's nice to, even get a picture here and there. So we got about 8 minutes. Remember, in Detox, it's great to have, I call it the stack. It's a yoga block. It could be a blanket. It could be a pillow. These objects that you can use to support your body in the different positions when you find them useful. So I'm not there to see if you're resting or if you're fighting it or if you're holding on to the tension in the class. I can normally see that and then recommend some things. So it's up to you. If you feel that your body is tensing or gripping in a position, we never want to be holding on in Detox, or kind of holding ourselves up without just using our body as a prop in itself. So that's when you would use the block or the pillow or the blanket, place it underneath your body intuitively, and so that you can feel your body let go a little bit more. Dania, hi there. Hope you're doing well. Kay Sue, doing a detox. Awesome. And I'm assuming you guys can hear me okay. Let me know if otherwise. I'm going to make sure that the volume's set. If you just got a blip on your screen, I'm coming back. I had to adjust my setting on my phone. So it should be fine. We should be rolling back. If you want a playlist tonight, you can look up any of the Detox playlists on the Spotify and just roll with that. So I'm gonna teach sometimes in these intense transitions, or as we continue to experience the intensity of information and stimulation, and sometimes that leads to a lot of confusion. I go without music myself, but that doesn't eliminate that from your practice, because you could just go on my Spotify, which is Joe Komar, Komar, and you can choose. There's hundreds of playlists. Just choose one that says Detox and start it when we start the practice. Hi, Al. Good evening. Welcome back to Detox. It goes to show you, even when you think there's really never an end, there's never a beginning. This is all a continuation, this thing called life. So, you think you're doing like, okay, this is the last detox we're gonna do. It's like for now, and then life is a process of mindful adjustments. And if we don't mindfully adjust, then we tend to kind of store that conflict in our bodies and in our minds, because we think, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So now that I'm doing this, it doesn't feel good, or it doesn't feel like what I'm supposed to be doing. Whereas if you just start to kind of dance, mindfully adjust, right, you always have that center moving with you, and then you know exactly what you're supposed to do. Yesterday when we made the decision that we were gonna, pause on the classes, I knew exactly that we were coming back to this schedule of 10 a.m. and 7:30 p.m. There's no, stress around that in the mind. You just know this clarity is built in, and you just show up, and that's what you do. And so it's a navigation for sure. It's uncharted waters, and different than what you might think or what you have thought that you were going to be doing, but that's okay. Safety, health, connection, all the things we talk about in yoga, really at the forefront. If you guys have any questions, please feel free. If you're on a device and you're signed in, I know you have to be signed in. You can use the live chat. I think you might have to be subscribed to the channel. I'm not sure. Maybe subscribed and then also signed in, and then you can use the live chat. And if you ever have any questions about positions or feelings or things that you're experiencing in your practice or life, the yoga life, then you're welcome to put those in, and I'll try to address them before class. Or if you want to email me, you can always send me a message at joek@urban728yoga.com. And if you're settled, you're welcome to go ahead and lie down onto your backs now. We'll start in Shavasana with your head to whatever you determine to be the top of your mat. And your legs are long, arms by your sides, palms face up. And if you're going to start a playlist, you can start that on your way to lying down. Adjust your volumes as you need to. So I'll just give you a little commentary, and so that you can make sure your volume on the video is loud enough so that you can hear me. You don't want it to alarm you. Try to keep a gentle tone in these classes, but loud enough so that you can hear me, so you don't have to look back at your device. I fully support you getting lost in this practice and sometimes even falling asleep. I've had many people say that they've fallen asleep and they woke up hours later and dark, which is great. You're welcome to that if you find yourself so relaxed. Clearly, you weren't trying to, and you don't need to try in this practice. If you're trying, then you're heading in the wrong direction. So I'll join you lying down. And just have your props. If you have a block or anything, set it off to the side. Give yourself some space. And feel your body perhaps from this morning's practice. The beauty of 2 classes a day, the relevance of, just having been in a state, been with the sensations. You'll notice what's most prevalent and what you're feeling when you lie down from this morning's practice or yesterday's practice. So I guess before we get too excited, I like to, approach when people ask, how often should I practice? I say start with every other day. Give your body time to recover and hydrate. And then once you build, from there and you're feeling space, then maybe, you start hitting every day, and then maybe after that you begin to eventually throw in a 2 a day, the bookends like we're doing tonight. But no stress. Don't stress yourself out about I have to do this or setting goals. If your practice is going to call you, it's going to call you. It shouldn't be something that you have to fight or kind of move through in conflict to get there. Just let it call you and show up when it does. Let's take about a minute in silence. There will be pockets of silence. Again, you can just soften and release, and we keep the breath natural. In detox, we're not inhaling and exhaling with force or balance or direction or effort in any way. Just let your breaths go in and out of your body, and you can actually observe that in natural pattern and without changing it at all. So we'll take about a minute here and lie still and observe. And slowly go ahead and take your arms over your head. Give yourself a big stretch in the evening. And reach out through your fingertips, point your toes. And feel a little lift out of your belly. And bend your legs, keep your hips heavy. And low back flat, and then draw your knees into your chest, hands onto your shins. In a very gentle squeeze. You can relax down into your hip flexors. You can reset your head. Remember, we're not necessarily pulling. The weight of the hands on the shins is enough. If you're feeling quite tight in your hip flexors, relax them, let them shorten. And go ahead and release your feet down onto the ground. You roll onto your right side and then pause there. Rest your head into your bicep. fetal position. Your knees come up as high as the hips, and then your left arm can come down and rest on your side. So it's a good spot to check in with natural breathing and to make sure that you're not forcing the breath in any way. And feel this lateral weight through your hips. And from one side of your head to the other, relax your cheeks and your eyes. And of course, your belly. And the eyes are closed. Bring your eyes back into your room, into your space. And we're going to start to extend the legs and roll over onto our bellies. And so you're facing the top of your mat. Walk your elbows in underneath your shoulders. And so we're using the arms as a prop and to come into Sphinx pose. So elbows are about shoulder width distance apart. You can separate your knees, separate your feet as wide as that feels good in your low back. And through your hips into your belly. And relax your toes. So this is what I was saying, where the body is a prop, you're not holding on in strength. And with the elbows under the shoulders keeps the chest up, and then you can let your chin and just rest down towards your chest. You notice if you're pulling or drawing with your bottom lip, relax your bottom lip. You might even have a little gap space between your lips. Soften the tongue, and of course you're welcome to close your eyes. Once you settle into the position, you don't need to necessarily see anything around you at all. You can close your eyes. And wherever you feel the weight of gravity, wherever you feel the sensations of the posture, you're just making sure that they're not sharp shooting or painful. Discomfort is okay. But if they're sharp shooting or pain, then you make little adjustments or even bring yourself out of the pose and just default into a position that your body is more comfortable with. You can feel internally to the release of your area around your belly and below your belly button, between your pubic bone and your belly button. In the front of your hips, I suppose if you've got really bony hips, right, obviously that might not feel great to have them digging into the mat, so that's one of those intuitive opportunities to put a towel in between those bones and the floor, and so that you have more of a settling, softening, enjoying time in the posture versus fighting against it. very common if you're feeling this in your neck. And we ball up stress, pressure, energy in our shoulders and around our neck. And so there's a bit of achiness, sometimes like a burn, or you feel even a pulsating effect in that part of your body. And it's pretty normal. You can stay with that in the posture. And continue to observe the breath. And sometimes you can even notice the float and the change of the state while it's happening. No pressure if you don't. And the tiniest little thing can pull you away, a thought, a sound. It's okay. And don't get frustrated. It'll come back. It's wavy. And let's take about one more minute in this posture. Without moving any part of your body, please take 3 deeper breaths. And at the end of your 3rd exhale, just lift your chin ever so slightly, turn your elbows out wide, and stack your palms, one hand on the back of the other hand. And then go ahead and bring your forehead down onto your top hand. And feel the release in the low back, feel the release in the neck. As you float your forehead off of your hands, and bring your legs all the way together behind you, and then extend your arms out in front of you. So your palms come onto your floor. A little weight into your hands. And if you just press your hands into the mat, it's going to drag your chest forward and draw your shoulders back. And keep the gaze steady out in front towards your thumbs. And then just hover the tops of your feet, stay an inch or 2. So the weight is across the front of your hips. And into your lower spine. And it's just a baby lift here, nothing too forceful. And just feeling that draw through your low back. Now bring the tops of your feet back down onto the ground. And take your right arm, slide it out into a T. And so it goes out sideways from your shoulder. So you got your right arm out. Bring your left hand, slide it in beside your chest. And so your left hand is on the mat beside your chest. And then we're just going to start to roll the left hip off the mat. And take your left leg behind you. And the leg can bend, the leg can be straight. And it's all good either way. Find what you're comfortable with. You'll feel the compression in the back of your right shoulder, the opening across the front of the shoulder. And then your left hand is there on the ground. Let your head settle down to the ground. Make any little adjustments if you need to. Don't worry about what it looks like. You should definitely feel the stretch across the chest and the front right side. And so make any adjustments and then begin to settle in the shape, in your shape. It could feel pretty intense to have the side of your head down on the ground, your temple, especially if you wear a lot of energy in your temples, stress, if you get tension headaches, you might really feel that. And relax the muscles in the neck, and the side of the head get really heavy. If you're getting some tingles in your fingertips and through the right arm, that's okay. About 5 more breaths at this point. From this point, furthering, deepening your awareness and through the process and the feelings and the sensations. Detox with the mind is kind of like watching little thought bubbles that pop out of the body. They hover right above you. And start to bring that left leg back around. No rush. And then your hips come back flat to the mat. And your legs behind you, arms by your sides. Turn onto your left cheek. And feel the counter stretch in your neck. And let that side go. No rush. When you're ready, and bring your chin back to the ground. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders. And make your way back into a child's pose. And with your bum to your heels. And your arms can hang out in front. And bring your forehead down onto the ground. And so you want your elbows down on the mat. Slide the hands in towards you if you need a little bit more. And space to settle the hips towards the heel. And then let your forehead come down. And it's so good because it's one place and where you don't have to worry about what you're doing next. You can lessen the intellectual state of the mind. Many times, especially these days, the mind is trying to forecast and plan for the uncertainty of the future. But this practice should do a pretty good job of taking your body and putting you in this place, this one place. And then also building the relationship between your body in one place and with your mind and your thoughts. All existing with this essence of one place. The here and the now. Notice the state. And go ahead and bring yourself up to all fours when you're ready. And from your hands and knees, and we're just going to step the right foot forward. And keep your left knee back. If you want a little padding underneath your left knee, you can take your mat, you can roll it over from the side, and lift the knee and set it down. You can also put a pillow or a towel underneath that back knee. Okay, now from here you're going to turn, and so keep your left knee where it is, but turn that heel in. So your left shin is parallel to the top of your mat. Okay, now all you got to do from here is keep your torso, so your right knee is inside your right shoulder, and just start to lunge. So bring the hips and the torso forward into the right leg, and let the left side into your hip receive the stretch. You're going to feel it. And once you keep bringing those hips and shoulders and head forward and then down. And once you feel it on that left hip, inner thigh, then you can pause. Let the weight of the arms down into your hands be enough, and to hold you in this place. Loosen your jaw, relax the breath, and settle in here. And this one can be pretty tight on that left inner thigh, the back leg. Inner thigh up to your groin, groin through your hip flexors. And then even deeper, you might meet your psoas. And low back down through the inner thigh. And keep settling, keep softening. If you notice any tightness in your neck, your shoulders, you're holding on to it in your jaw and your lips and your mouth. And let your head and drop in with the heaviness of your hips. About 1 more minute, please. Watch your next breath and then begin to move very slowly. Use your hands and that back hip as we start to bring the pelvis back ever so slightly. And you can first turn that left foot back out behind the knee. And as you turn that left foot out behind the knee, and use your hands, start to walk your hips back and to sit down onto your left heel. If it's too much to sit down onto your left heel, you put something underneath your bum on the right side. The yoga block or the pillow or the blanket, fold it up and put it underneath the right side, and then you can adjust. Obviously, you can untuck the mat if you had it underneath your knee. And you feel into that space now and just start to crawl your hands forward. You relax your right toes and then let your head get heavy. Not here too long. Feel the compression around your chest and your heart muscle, the expansion across your back. And it's not easy to sit in a passive forward fold. So if your body's gripping and clenching back on it, it's pretty normal. So that's just a little rebound. Walk your hands in, roll up from the base of your spine, one vertebra at a time. Feel the lightness as you stack your spine, shoulders over your hips, head above your heart. And then you might find a nice deep breath. Feel free to take a sigh here. If you had that something underneath your right sitting bone, lean to the left, take the stack out. And pull your right foot back, and so you're on both knees, and then come forward and lie down onto your belly. And release your hips and your belly into the ground, and separate your feet a little bit wider if that feels good. And then take your arm view and feel that open in the ribs from the belly. And the head can remain at this hover. And then we're going to start up on the other side. So take your left arm out into the T. Slide your right hand back beside your ribs. And then we're just going to roll open from the right hip. And take your right leg behind your left leg. You can bend it. You can keep it straight. Whatever feels good. So you're compressing the upper back and the shoulder on the left side, opening up in the front of the shoulder and the chest. And as your right foot settles, let your head settle. And the right fingers or the palm on the ground, just enough. And so that you're not fighting it and feeling like your body's going to roll back onto the mat. You make any little and mindful adjustments that you need to. As the body does, it stores variances, so very unusual for the same pose to feel the same on both sides of the body. You'll probably feel the unique nature of the body, and I encourage you to support, not be discouraged or try to figure it out, but support the variances and the differences that you may feel from the same posture on one side of the body versus the other. And feelings and tingles and through your left arm out to your tips. And the fingers pretty normal. About 1 more minute on this side. And you can take it nice and slow. And as you start to roll and bring your right leg back around. And so many sensations. So much to release. As your hips come back square, slide your left arm down, both arms by your sides. And then you can turn to your right cheek, let your head rest. And feel your chest and your back to the ground, let it go. And see how you become more aware of the state and the process, the evolution and the transitions of the state of your being. And while it's happening, No rush. Bring your chin to the ground. Hands under your shoulders. Make your way back into a child's pose, hips to your heels. And let your hands come back. And so your elbows can come down. And then your forehead towards the mat. The forehead touching the mat, then perhaps you'd like your stack underneath your forehead. And so that you can soften and settle the muscles in the neck, top of the shoulders, and then rest here. Let's begin to roll yourself back up to all fours. And once you get back up to all fours, step your left foot forward and between your hands, please. And if you like some padding underneath your right knee, you can roll your mat. A low folded blanket. And then once you get your knee set, and start to turn on the knee, so you bring the right foot forward, and then your shin is parallel to the top of your mat. And keep the chest square best you can towards the top. Front of your left thigh is just inside your left shoulder. And you've got your hands to support your balance, and then we just start to release the body with gravity and letting the hips and the head and come down. You should be able to feel back into the right inner thigh. You're like, no kidding. And if it's sensitive in the knee, try a pillow, try something to support you so that you're not just gripping around that sensitivity in the knee. And then you can actually get it working from the inner thigh to the groin, and possibly even deeper into the psoas muscle. Loosen the neck, relax the jaw. And weight of the head, heaviness of your hips last minute. And that might be a pretty new sensation for your body, so take it slow. Use your hands as you start to slide your hips back. And you can turn the right foot back out behind the knee. Little by little, very slow. And the hands start to walk the hips all the way back. And to sit onto your right heel. You can untuck your mat, remove the padding, and of course set some padding or the block underneath your left sitting bone. If it's tough to sit right onto your foot on the right side. And keep the chin low and the energy calm. And relax your left toes, crawl your hands forward. And let's come into the fold on this side. And relax the belly as much as you can. Compression come in around your heart, your chest. And spread some of that weight off your back. And so we feel lighter in the shoulders by the end of this practice tonight. You start to roll yourself up slowly, coming from that rebound. As you feel the spine stack and the shoulders over the hips and the head above the heart, might be a great time to take a nice deep breath in. And a little sigh. If you have anything underneath your left sitting bone, slide it out. Bring your left foot back, tuck the foot under. And then you're on all fours, bring your hands forward, and you're in tabletop. And set your hands so you turn your middle fingers out slightly, and we're going to keep the arms straight. And separate your knees wider than your hips. And then you're going to start to let your hips and get heavy, and so your legs do not have to be rigid and straight or strong. You just want to explore the space as you separate the knees. You can keep your arms straight. Let your shoulders shrug as your hips get heavier. And let your ribs move out away from your torso. So it's creating an extension through your spine. And keep your chin low to your chest. And little by little, as you can release here, and so feeling the hands and the wrists, and the arms all the way up to the shoulders. Just keep finding these moments and to explore the little release. And now you can start to bend your arms inch by inch. Keep your elbows tight by your sides. And so you're bringing your hips all the way down. And go slow, and then your belly. And then go slower to your chest. And bring your hands underneath your chin. Stack one palm above the other. And then let your chin settle onto the back of your top hand. Turn your big toes out, adjust your knees, so this is externally rotating, and your hips as wide as they can. And so it's the inner edges of your feet that are touching the floor, possibly even the inner heels. And then relax your bum. Let everything go here tonight. And keep everything where it is and curl your heels towards your bum over your knees. And give yourself a little windshield wiper. Your shins going back and forth side to side. And pause the legs back at center. And bring your hands under your shoulders. And press up just enough so that you can swing your legs around in front of you. And then go ahead and lie down onto your back. And when we release to the back, you're going to feel the support of the earth underneath your spine. A lot of expanded space down into the lower third of your spine, into your psoas and through your hip creases. You make any adjustments that you need with your shoulders, your head. Big toes out. And legs, heavy arms by your sides with your palms facing up, please. And now just watch the calm, gentle, and expanded nature of the breath in your body right now. And you may find yourself so removed in a practice of non-attachment that you don't even remember what you were doing just before you started this practice tonight. You become conscious and connected to the moment. This is such a beautiful practice, a practice most people don't realize that they need. But you all found your way here, so I hope you can stay and absorb and relax in the state without moving through it too quickly or swiftly. Give yourself some space and allow your practice to settle and take it with you into the rest of your evening. Nice to be back with you all for a detox. I hope to see you tomorrow morning practicing in our flow and fit, and then also tomorrow evening we'll be back for another detox. A lot of light, a lot of love, and hopefully a little more peace in your heart that you can spread and share with all of those that you come in contact with, however you come in contact with them, virtually or in person. And thank you all for your practice. Namaste.